Well, this is a new phenomenon on the beach. Cops now have these little scooters, and they just ride up and down all day long. They probably passed me. I've been here for a couple hours. Passed me over a dozen times, up and down, up and down, up and down, just policing society. And this young man on the left-hand side over here was smoking something. Now this is California, so it's obvious that he's, oh no, smoking weed. God forbid someone smoking weed. Kill them, please. Um, just wanted to show a little bit of the injustice there is on this planet that's going on. Um, it was real funny because earlier I had a talk with one of these cops when I went to pick up my stuff, and his whole argument is that it's the law. I mean, and then I brought up that it was the law that blacks couldn't drink out of the same water fountains as whites at one point, and it was a law that um, women couldn't vote, and all sorts of other bullshit. So I'm just like, you can't hide behind that facade. Just because something's a law does not make it just or right. It just means that you're taking control. You're taking power out of out of people's hands, and enforcing more and more control, and forcing people further and further into boxes until they rise up and pretty much blow them all up. That's what I suggest. But until that happens, until people are non-complacent, there's not much you can do besides just get the word out and show the truth. And this also echoes on a documentary I recently saw about mind control. Um, you know, my own ignorance has shown me that I'm not the only one. I was thinking that this is rare. It's a rare occurrence. This mind control, but turns out, there's a whole contingent of people and organizations that are testifying, going in front of Congress, explaining their stories. People showing and explaining their own personal experiences with shadow government, and and how far it goes, how deep and how far it goes, way back into the 1950s. There are cases of mind control, how the government saw how the Vietnamese were using mind control for their own population, and how by 1954 they had their own Manchurian candidates, and who are most likely are presidents and Congress and business leaders, anyone who has potential power, basically, is a candidate. And the technologies, obviously in 2015, 2016, but even before then, in the 2000s, 1995, 1990s, how far ahead the technology is, where they can basically, with electromagnetic fields, pick up and echo every single person's brain on the planet, and then target them, copy their brain signals, figure out how their moods are, and they can use that as a weapon, or create fantasies. And I'm definitely a targeted individual. I've gone through my own journey, which continues to go on, where they will contact you, they will talk to you in your mind, and sometimes they use fear-based control. you know, they will remove you, threaten you, remove you if they can. I've had many threats saying that they're going to kill me if I don't listen and do what they say. That was earlier on, about 3 years ago, when I was first introduced, from what I remember, 3.5 years ago, when they first put me into the DEEP program. I don't know if it's called DEEP program, but they definitely had me, I don't know if it was chipped or had me completely scanned at that point, but they were definitely using fear, fear-based trauma, as well as, control over my body. For example, they were able to increase or decrease my heart rate and change my body temperature, able to make me forget things on a regular basis, controlled my speech patterns, involuntary muscle control, all sorts of stuff. Like, basically, it was just like they had my body, and I was just a shell. I mean, I was just in the shell, and they could do whatever the hell they wanted to it, remotely. and, and they talk to you. Whoever these creepy people are, they talk to you, and it still happens today. Conversations, and they tell you how they feel, especially if you don't do what they say. And I'm not so sure if it's AI, if it's a negative entity. It's something that is a part of my life at this point, I've had to battle with it, a lot. And it's just when you see things like that, like police officers running up to people for smoking weed, a plant. I mean, it makes you really just wonder how we're going to get past this. How are we going to move forward because of the bullshit that they're up to? I mean, for example, over here by the pier, which is over there was a couple of guys advertising for Greenpeace, and they were saying, hey, we're trying to fight Monsanto and their pesticides that are killing the bees, which have shown to kill the bees. And I went ahead and started talking to them about, there's also all sorts of information about how the same company, in conjunction with other companies like Dow, helped produce Agent Orange, which they used to kill the Vietnamese with, and flooded their skies and people in Afghanistan and all sorts of other stuff. And the effects are 75% of people, of babies, having deformities or dying, and low birth rates, people dying of stomach cancers, and that has nothing to do with our vets who had to go through that also. There's documentaries on YouTube that you can research and find, but speaking on how they just used our vets as test subjects, soldiers who no longer can get health care, who the actual government would not allow them to have health care, would not take care of their illness, which they created. And so, I mean, it's so funny. It's like they are policing people for smoking weed, which is somewhat healthy. And even if it wasn't healthy, who gives a shit? I mean, people smoke cigarettes and they drink booze, which are legal. So what is it about weed? I mean, I have my own theories, especially because I used to smoke weed, and I realized that the level of mind control was sufficiently diminished while smoking weed. And, it has some effect on possibly the parasite or parasitic entities that they infect people with, which may be inside of me as well. So I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that. But if they're running around poisoning everybody with like fluoride in their water, cloud seeding, putting chemicals in our air, in our food with GMOs, killing off bees, and they care about people smoking weed. So, and couple this with mind control and making people complacent, and they do all sorts of stuff, by the way, with this mind control. Like, they will, like, if you're motivated to do something, they will take that motivation away. They have the ability to remove your motivation, your energy, your ability to act. They are actually doing shit like that remotely. I've experienced it personally, and there's documentaries out there which I have discovered where people stand up and they talk, they speak about how these entities, these governmental people, these psychopaths, I don't know who they are, scientists, crazy people, um, you know, will do anything that they can to get their way. Completely including mind control, lying, cheating, stealing, killing. Um, but just speaking on that, taking away your motivation, which seems to be a big issue within society, where they will make you, for example, exhausted, real sleepy, which has happened to me, where I would be very interested in doing something, and then all of a sudden I'm so tired, it's like my energy just is zapped away, and then I go into a state of almost hypnosis. This is a very common thing, and so for me, it's like, how do you stop this injustice on this planet? How do you go and stop these police officers from arresting people from smoking weed or like being human when they're using mind control to affect the entire population, and it's usually negative. And I've spoken with psychologists and stuff like that, and they're like, "What? That's far out. I can't believe that stuff is going on." But there's so many countless statements by people. I mean, like, how can we even pretend anymore? So, I'm just wondering if anyone out there has an idea. It's going to take more than just a couple hundred people creating websites and speaking to Congress. It's going to take quite a movement, because these corporate bodies have militaries behind them, and science and technology, which they use to influence people and hurt them. Very greedy people who think that they own us, they control us. So just food for thought. And it's a little bit of a depressing thing to talk about, because there's so much joy and so much love out here. So many things to enjoy. And I for one just want to stand up and fight it. And want to put my best effort out there, so that we can stop this horrible treatment of people, so people can be free and live their lives and actually like progress in many different ways, instead of being basically meat or animals being led to the slaughter. That'd be great. So peace and love.